Hey guys, it's Mr. Walger here, and guess what? I got a secret for you. Come on, lean in. You can hear this one. So, you're super smart. Did you know that? You're like super smart. And to be honest, you guys have been doing so awesome this year, and you've been watching me through like these 3,000,004 videos. At least that's what it seems like. That we're gonna combine some lessons today because I think that you guys are gonna take to these concepts pretty easy. And I don't think you need me making even more videos for you to watch to bore you to death with. So we're going to combine lessons 9 and 10 in this video and knock out some of these concepts because I think you guys can definitely handle it, okay? So don't tell anybody. Keep it a secret between us, and then we'll be able to make this work, okay? So we're going to have 2 goals for today, okay? And these goals kind of correspond to each other. Basically, that's why we're combining these lessons, because they kind of have a lot in common. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using we're going to be comparing decimals, basically, okay? Looking at decimals and being able to tell which one's bigger, which one's smaller. And we're going to be doing that a few different ways. First, we're going to be looking at like a place value chart and kind of tying it into or using our knowledge of measurement to kind of help us to compare these decimals. And then we're going to take a look at the area model and a couple different methods we can use to really compare decimals and see what their value is and how they compare to another decimal, okay? So you don't need too much today. There's a couple templates that are available in the module that you can grab out if you want those, but again, it's all stuff that you can draw. I'm going to be drawing it here, so you don't need to worry about having like super straight lines or anything like that. Just do the best you can and be able to compare some of these decimals. So once you have those things, you're ready to rock and roll, you're ready to work, you're ready to be super smart, go ahead and click continue and we'll keep going. Alright guys, so I'm going to start here, but I'm just going to give us 2 decimals for us to compare, okay? And the 2 decimals I'm going to write, we're going to put let's see, we'll do 67 hundredths. Okay, 67 hundredths, and we'll do, let's say like 59 hundredths. So what I'm going to do first to compare these is I'm going to take what I know about like measurement and thinking of like a meter stick or something like that to kind of help me to compare these, right? So I'm going to draw 2 meter sticks here. So here's one, and here's 2. So they're both about the same length because I'm getting them to represent like one whole, because we know both of these numbers are less than a whole, so then we can kind of plot them out on here. So my 67 hundredths, I know I'm going to have 6 tens, right? So let's see, I'm going to divide this up into tens first. So there's 10, and you know what, just to keep things even, let's just bring down another copy of that guy. So I have my meter stick here represented in tenths. It's easy enough to start off, right? So let's take a look at the 67 hundredths. I know I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tenths, right? 6 tenths, and then I'm going to have 7 hundredths. So if I were to take another tenth here and split it into hundredths, or split it into 10, those would be hundredths. So let's see, 1, 2. Okay, so there's my hundredths, and let me just go ahead and color in 7 of those. There we go. So there's my 67 hundredths represented on this this tape diagram, this meter stick, whatever you want to call it. It's just kind of representing it visually in like a length way, all right? If I did the same thing here for my 59 hundredths, let's see, I would have 5 tenths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tenths, and 9 hundredths. 9 hundredths. And if I colored in those 9 hundredths, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you can see, looking at these 2 numbers and comparing these, that our 67 hundredths is definitely longer, right? It has one more, almost one more whole tenth in there than our 59 hundredths. So that's pretty easy comparison as we lay it out like that, lengthwise and like visually, right? We could have also just straight up drawn this in like a place value chart. Alright, so I could have said like my ones, then my decimal, and then my tenths, and my hundredths, just kind of abbreviating there. But I would have 6 tenths and 7 hundredths, I would have 5 tenths and 9 hundredths, and these 2 numbers, and my 6 is definitely bigger than my 5. So right there we can compare it. Like that's super easy, kind of jumps right out at you there. But this is if we need to see it visually, just to kind of understand like what those decimals mean. This is it visually. This is the part of a whole. So the 67 hundredths is more or closer to a whole than our 59 hundredths is. Okay. All right, so that's cool, and the same thing would apply to like weight. So if I was weighing things out, because right now we're working with like length, but let's say I was weighing like apples or something like that, right? So I got these apples here, and let's say that this one is maybe like, this one weighs 1/10. Okay, this guy maybe weighs, we'll say 7/10, and this guy weighs 46 hundredths. Okay, I can compare those. If I wanted to, I could turn it into a length, right, and draw like I did before with those meter sticks or that tape diagram. But I could also just compare this in like that place value chart again. All right, if these my decimal here, I have my tenths and my hundredths. All right, and I could just organize these numbers this way. And I could go, okay, well, my 1 is going to be the smallest, or the lightest, whatever you want to call it. My 4 is going to be the next. And then this guy's going to be my largest or heaviest, or whatever the term is you want to use. Even though this 46 has like bigger looking numbers in it, right? A 4 and a 6, and it has one more digit than my 7/10 does. That doesn't mean that it's bigger, because we have smaller digits and we actually have less in the tenths place, which gives us a smaller number. Okay, so again, we're moving through this kind of quickly because I think this is a fairly easy concept for us to grasp. So let's take a look at like another way that we can use to compare these numbers. Okay, so this time we're going to use the good old-fashioned area model to help us to compare some numbers. Okay, so I'm going to write 2 decimals up here. Let's see, let's go with 15 hundredths and 51 hundredths. Okay, so right off the bat we're seeing like the same like digits in both of these numbers, but we can compare them. We can use this area model to help us to compare these numbers, to make a comparison between them. And basically we want to say, is it less than, greater than, or equal to? Okay, these two numbers, is 15 hundredths less than, greater than, or equal to 51? That's what we're looking for here. So to do this, I'm just going to represent these two numbers on my area model here, and then just compare what we're seeing, what we're looking at. So if I started over here, I would have 15 hundredths. That would be, since this is separated into hundredths, I could just color in 15 hundredths, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so it would be these 15 right here. That's how I could represent that, 15 hundredths. I could also know that one of these is 10, so I could just gone 1 and then 5 more. Either way would have worked. Let me do that over here. So this is 51 hundredths, so I know it's going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and one more hundredth. Or I could have thought of it as 5 tenths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tenths, and 1/100th. Either way, you're getting the idea here. It's the same thing. So now looking at these two right off the bat here, I know that this one is definitely way more. So our answer is going to be 15 hundredths is less than 51 hundredths. And I could see that visually, but also I could use, like I used in the last one, put it in that place value chart and just look at my different place value. In my tenths place in both of these numbers, I have a 1 in the tenths place in 15 hundredths. I have a 5 in the tenths place in the other one. That 5 is greater. That's my greater number. Okay? And yet another way that we can compare these numbers is using a number line. Okay? So if I were to draw a number line here, so let's put a line across here, and let's say this time I was comparing decimals that had whole numbers in them, right? Decimals greater than one whole. So let's say I had, for example, like 4 and 5 tenths, and I wanted to compare that to 4 and 38 hundredths. Now, right off the bat, this one has more numbers. It has more digits in it. But does that mean it's a greater number? I don't know. That's why we want to compare these. So we can compare them, and let's see, if I was going to mark the end points of this, I know that my numbers are in between 4 and 5. So I'm going to start over here with like 4 I could come down here and put 5. And really, I could probably even go smaller with that, but let's just see. So I could have, if I separated this into like tenths, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this would be 4.1, 4.2. And then 5 all the way out there. So if I was going to plot this, well, 4.5, so that guy's going to sit right here. And then 4 and 38 hundredths. So I know it's going to be 4 and 3 tenths, and then 8 hundredths. So 8 hundredths would be right here. So 4.38. So even though this one has more digits in it, that doesn't mean it's greater. 4.5 is, 4 and 5 tenths is, because it's going to sit right here on the number line, halfway between 4 and 5, where 4 and 38 hundredths is going to be by the 3 tenths, or between the 3 tenths and the 4 tenths, okay? So we know that this guy is going to be greater, and we use the number line to help us prove that. So basically the goal of these two lessons here, of lessons 9 and lessons 10, is just to kind of get the idea flowing of how we can compare these decimals, how we can look at the decimals and go, okay, well, I can either use the area model to help me compare these, I could use the number line like we have here, the area model, I could write out that place value chart. There's a variety of ways that you can use to compare these decimals. So what you guys are going to do today, you're going to practice with both of this. I'm going to ask that you practice both problem sets, or at least a handful of problems from both problem sets to kind of get the hang of it. Make sure that you're understanding how to compare these decimals, and then we're going to be doing some more comparisons later on. So I'll also put the link up here to some extra homework help for both of these if you need to see a couple more of these problems done out. Live or recorded on a video, I guess. So please check those out if you need them, or reach out to me, let me know. I'd be more than happy to do some more examples with you guys. But I think this is going to be a pretty easy concept that you guys are going to pick up pretty fast. And if not, that's okay too. Don't let it get you down. Sometimes this takes a little bit of extra practice. So if you need some extra practice with it, if you want some more help, please reach out and let me know. Okay? Alright guys, thank you for watching, and have fun comparing your decimals.